Stop scrolling. Someone experienced deep love with you in a dream last night, and the strange part is, they woke up unable to forget your face or your energy. This wasn't just another dream. Many believe that when two souls are deeply connected, dreams become the first place where destiny begins to speak. What you're about to hear may explain why this person keeps feeling drawn toward you, even if you've never met, or haven't seen each other in a long time. Don't skip this message. By the end of this video, you may recognize exactly who this person is, and why this dream came at this precise moment. There are moments when life appears completely ordinary, and then, without warning, something invisible begins moving beneath the surface. No announcement. No loud sign. Only a quiet feeling, as though someone, somewhere, has started remembering a connection they cannot explain. Last night may have been one of those moments. While you were sleeping, or perhaps while you were simply living another ordinary day, someone entered a dream unlike anything they had experienced before. It felt real. Not because of the place. Not because of the words. But because of you. Your presence in that dream carried a warmth they had never felt before, a peace they could not describe, and a love that seemed older than memory itself. When morning came, they expected the feeling to disappear. Instead, it followed them. Your face refused to fade. Your energy lingered in their heart. Even if they could not remember every detail of the dream, one thing stayed crystal clear. You. And that is where this message truly begins. Because not every dream carries meaning. But some dreams arrive like quiet letters from heaven, reminding two souls that timing is beginning to change. Have you noticed something unusual lately? Perhaps you've been thinking about someone without knowing why. Maybe a certain song suddenly feels different. A familiar place stirs emotions you can't explain. Or you've felt an unexpected sense that something important is getting closer. Most people dismiss these moments as coincidence. Yet sometimes, coincidences are simply spiritual patterns waiting to be recognized. Here's something few people consider. Before hearts recognize each other in waking life, they often meet in silence. Not through conversations. Not through photographs. But through dreams, where fear is quiet, expectations disappear, and souls communicate without needing words. Imagine someone waking before sunrise. Sitting on the edge of their bed. Trying desperately to remember why their heart suddenly feels so full. They don't know your name. Or maybe they do. They don't understand why your smile keeps returning to their thoughts. They only know one thing. Meeting you, even inside a dream, felt more real than many people they've known for years. That realization has unsettled them. Because deep inside, they're asking themselves a question they can't answer. Why did this stranger, or this familiar soul, make me feel like I had finally come home? Pause for a moment. Does your heart feel unexpectedly calm as you're hearing this? Not because you're being convinced. But because something inside you quietly whispers. I've felt this before. Sometimes the soul recognizes truth long before the mind is ready to accept it. And perhaps that's why this message found you today instead of yesterday, or tomorrow. Timing matters. Every meaningful connection unfolds when both hearts are capable of seeing what they once overlooked. But here's the mystery that changes everything. The person who dreamed about you may not even realize they're slowly being guided toward your path. Life has a remarkable way of arranging encounters that seem accidental. A delayed conversation. A missed turn. An unexpected invitation. A random message. A single glance across a crowded room. Most people call these lucky moments. Yet destiny often hides inside ordinary days. Waiting until the exact second when two stories are finally ready to meet. And if you're listening carefully, you may already sense that this isn't only about romance. It's about recognition. It's about two lives carrying invisible pieces of the same unanswered question. Because the dream wasn't simply showing affection. It was revealing familiarity. The kind that makes someone look into your eyes and wonder, why do I feel like I've known you forever? That question has already begun growing inside someone. They may not say it aloud. They may even try to ignore it. But the dream planted something impossible to erase. And what happened immediately after they woke up may be the biggest clue yet. Because their very first instinct revealed exactly how deeply this mysterious connection had already taken hold. A strange thing happened next. Instead of allowing the dream to disappear with the morning light, they carried it with them into every ordinary moment. They poured a cup of coffee, and thought of you. They looked out a window, and your presence quietly returned. They tried to focus on work, family, or the endless responsibilities of the day, yet, every so often, a feeling interrupted their thoughts. Not a distraction. A reminder. As if their heart had been awakened before their mind could understand why. That is what makes this different. Some dreams entertain the imagination. Others leave behind an impression that refuses to fade. This one became a question they could not answer. Who was that person? Why did they feel so familiar? Why did it seem as though we had already shared a lifetime of memories? The more they searched for a logical explanation, the more mysterious it became. Because not everything meaningful can be explained with logic. Some experiences are meant to be felt before they are understood. And perhaps you've experienced something similar yourself. Have you ever suddenly felt connected to someone you couldn't explain? Ever sensed that your heart recognized something before your eyes did? Those moments often arrive quietly, but they leave lasting echoes. Now here's where the story becomes even more remarkable. The dream did not only affect them. In subtle ways. It may already be reaching you. Maybe you've been waking with emotions that seem to come from nowhere. Maybe you've caught yourself smiling without a reason. Or perhaps you've felt an unusual sense that someone, somewhere, has been thinking about you. Whether those feelings are connected or simply meaningful in their own right, they can remind us that human connection often begins long before two people fully understand it. Sometimes the heart notices a change before life reveals its purpose. Think about that for a moment. How many incredible stories begin with something that seemed impossible to explain? A chance encounter. An unexpected conversation. A feeling that refused to disappear. What if this is one of those moments? What if someone is quietly becoming more open to meeting the person they saw in that unforgettable dream? Not because they are searching desperately, but because their heart has become more attentive, more aware, more willing to notice the people crossing their path. And that change alone can transform everything. Because when a person's heart opens, they begin noticing opportunities that were always there. People they would have overlooked. Conversations they would have ignored. Moments they once considered ordinary. Sometimes the greatest turning points don't arrive with thunder. They arrive with a simple introduction. A smile. A conversation that lasts a little longer than expected. That is why patience carries so much power. You don't have to force what is meant to unfold. You don't have to chase every possibility. The right connections have a remarkable way of revealing themselves at the right time. Until then, your role is not to worry. It is to become the fullest version of yourself. To keep your heart kind. To protect your peace. To continue growing into the person you're meant to become. Because genuine love is not only about finding someone. It is also about becoming someone who can recognize and receive that connection when it arrives. And there is one detail about this dream that almost no one talks about. One small moment hidden inside it, that reveals far more about who this person could be than anyone realizes. Once you understand that hidden sign, everything begins to look different. And that is exactly where this journey is about to lead next. Not every dream is remembered because of what was seen. Some are remembered because of what was felt. That is the hidden sign. Long after the images begin to fade, the emotion remains. The person who dreamed about you may struggle to describe your appearance with perfect clarity. They may not remember the color of the sky, the room, or the path you walked together. But they cannot forget how they felt when you were there. Safe. Accepted. Understood. As though, for a brief moment, every question they had been carrying simply became quiet. That feeling is rare. In a world where so many connections move quickly and disappear just as fast, a sense of genuine peace stands out. It lingers. It changes people. And without realizing it, that dream may have already begun changing them. Since that night, they may have become more patient, more thoughtful, more open to the possibility that life still has beautiful surprises waiting. Why? Because your presence in that dream reminded them of something they had almost forgotten. Hope. Now, let me ask you something. Have you noticed yourself changing lately? Perhaps you've become more reflective. Maybe you've started letting go of old disappointments. Or you've felt an unexpected desire to move forward instead of looking back. Growth often happens quietly. We rarely notice it while it's happening. But one day, we realize we're responding differently to the same situations that once held us back. That is how new chapters begin. Not with dramatic announcements, but with small shifts inside the heart. And those shifts have a way of preparing us for meaningful encounters. Imagine two travelers walking toward the same destination from opposite directions. Neither knows exactly when the meeting will happen. Neither can see the other's path. Yet with every step, the distance between them grows smaller. That is the beauty of timing. You don't always see progress while it's happening. But progress is still happening. Perhaps this dream was never meant to predict the future. Perhaps it was meant to awaken readiness. To remind one heart. And maybe even yours, that meaningful connections often begin long before introductions are made. There is another possibility worth considering. What if this person is already somewhere within your world? Not necessarily close. Not necessarily obvious. But close enough that your paths could naturally cross when the moment is right. Maybe you've exchanged a brief smile without realizing its significance. Maybe you've walked past each other. Maybe your lives have already touched in the smallest, quietest way. Life has a remarkable habit of revealing the importance of ordinary moments only after they have passed. That is why every day deserves your attention. Every conversation carries possibility. Every act of kindness has the potential to become part of a story you cannot yet see. And here's something even more fascinating. The dream may have done more than awaken curiosity. It may have inspired courage. The courage to reach out. To say hello. To take a chance they would have avoided before. Sometimes one meaningful experience is enough to help someone stop living in fear and start living with intention. If that is happening now, then invisible changes are already unfolding. The next decision they make. The next place they choose to go. The next message they decide to send. Could quietly become the beginning of something they never expected. But there is one final piece of this mystery that has not yet been revealed. A simple clue. One that can help you recognize whether this connection is moving closer than you think. And once you hear it, you may start seeing signs in places you never thought to look. The final clue isn't hidden in the stars. It isn't written on a calendar. And it doesn't arrive with loud announcements. It reveals itself through the quiet changes that begin happening inside your everyday life. Pay attention to the moments that seem too perfectly timed to ignore. A conversation that happens just when you needed encouragement. A familiar feeling in a place you've never visited before. A name that unexpectedly appears more than once. A chance encounter that leaves you wondering why it felt so comfortable, even after only a few minutes. None of these moments, by themselves, have to mean anything extraordinary. But together, they can remind you to stay awake to the opportunities life places in front of you. Because meaningful connections are often recognized in hindsight. Only later do we realize. That was the moment everything quietly began. Now imagine the person who dreamed about you once again. They've carried that memory for days. Perhaps they tried to forget it. Perhaps they told themselves it was only imagination. Yet every time they attempted to move on, the feeling returned. Not demanding attention. Simply waiting. Quietly reminding them that some experiences deserve to be taken seriously. That is what genuine hope does. It doesn't force. It gently invites. And maybe this message is doing the very same thing for you. Not asking you to believe every mystery. Not asking you to search for someone around every corner. But encouraging you to remain open to the possibility that your next meaningful chapter has not yet been written. Sometimes we become so focused on what we've lost that we overlook what is slowly approaching. Sometimes disappointment teaches us to keep our hearts guarded. Yet life has an amazing way of rewarding those who continue to believe that kindness, patience, and love still matter. Your story is not defined by the chapters that ended. It is shaped by the courage to keep turning the page. The person who saw you in that unforgettable dream may still be walking their own path. They may still be growing, learning, healing, just as you are. And perhaps that is exactly why the timing has not been rushed. Because the strongest connections are not built by chance alone. They are strengthened by the people both hearts become before they finally meet. So don't measure your journey by delays. Measure it by your growth. Every lesson you've learned. Every challenge you've overcome. Every moment you've chosen hope instead of fear. Has quietly prepared you for whatever comes next. And maybe, one day, you'll meet someone whose presence feels strangely familiar. The conversation will flow with unexpected ease. The silence won't feel awkward. You'll wonder why trust came so naturally. You may never know whether they were the one who dreamed about you. But you'll recognize something even more valuable. A connection built on respect, peace, and genuine understanding. If this message encouraged you today, carry it with you as a reminder. Not that destiny removes every uncertainty, but that hope can help you notice the meaningful moments already unfolding around you. Sometimes the most beautiful stories don't begin with certainty. They begin with an open heart. And perhaps, yours is ready for its next chapter. And yet, there is one last thought that deserves your attention. What if the true purpose of that dream was never simply to reveal a person? What if it was also meant to reveal you? Because every meaningful connection begins with recognition. Not just recognizing another soul, but recognizing the light within your own. For a long time, you may have questioned your worth. You may have wondered why certain relationships faded. Why some people misunderstood your heart. Or why the love you hoped for seemed delayed. But delays are not always denials. Sometimes they are seasons of preparation. Just as a sunrise cannot be rushed, neither can the moments that have the power to change a life. Perhaps this dream came into someone's heart because they were finally ready to appreciate qualities that had always been rare. Your kindness. Your resilience. Your quiet strength. The compassion you offer even after disappointment. These are the things that leave lasting impressions. Not perfection, but authenticity. And that is why your energy stayed with them long after they opened their eyes. Because people rarely remember flawless moments. They remember how someone made them feel. Now imagine this. Weeks from now. Or months from now. You find yourself in an ordinary place. Nothing seems unusual. The day feels completely routine. Then someone looks at you with a quiet expression of recognition. Not surprise. Recognition. As though a part of them has finally found something they have been searching for without realizing it. In that moment, neither of you may understand why the connection feels so natural. There may be no dramatic music. No grand announcement. Only a peaceful certainty. The kind that cannot be forced. The kind that gently whispers, "I've known this feeling before." Whether that moment comes through a new friendship, a meaningful conversation, or a relationship that grows over time. Remember this. The strongest bonds are not created overnight. They are built through trust. Through patience. Through choosing kindness again and again. So instead of waiting with anxiety, live with expectation. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep becoming the person you are proud to be. Because every step you take today shapes the quality of the connections you experience tomorrow. And if someone truly carried the memory of you from a dream, then the greatest gift you can offer that future meeting is not worry. It is your authentic self. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. If this message brought you a sense of hope or peace, take it as a gentle reminder that life still has beautiful surprises waiting in unexpected places. And whenever love arrives, whether through destiny, timing, or a simple hello, may it find you with an open heart, a clear mind, and the courage to welcome a brand new chapter. Before this message comes to an end, there is one final mystery. Have you ever noticed? Some people enter your life loudly, only to disappear just as quickly. But others, they arrive quietly, almost unnoticed. Yet somehow, they leave footprints on your heart that never fade. The person who dreamed about you may become one of those rare souls. Not because of a dream alone, but because of what follows after it. Every meaningful connection is written one choice at a time. One conversation. One act of kindness. One moment of honesty. That is how trust is born. And trust is what transforms a simple meeting into a lasting story. So if life places someone new in your path, don't rush to define the future. Allow the connection to breathe. Listen more than you speak. Notice how they treat others when no one is watching. Notice how you feel after spending time together. The healthiest relationships don't leave you feeling confused. They leave you feeling peaceful. That quiet sense of peace is often more valuable than excitement alone. Because excitement can fade. But genuine respect, compassion, and understanding continue to grow. Perhaps that is the lesson hidden inside this entire message. The dream was never asking you to chase an illusion. It was inviting you to stay open to authentic connection. To believe that meaningful relationships are still possible. To remember that hope is strongest when it is paired with wisdom. One day, you may look back on this very moment and smile. Not because every detail unfolded exactly as imagined, but because this message encouraged you to keep your heart open instead of letting disappointment close it. Sometimes that single decision changes everything. As this journey ends, carry this thought with you. You do not have to force what is meant to grow. You do not have to fear every unanswered question. Your story is still unfolding. Page by page. Moment by moment. And every sunrise brings possibilities that yesterday could not. If someone truly experienced deep love with you in a dream, may that memory inspire kindness. May it inspire courage. And if your paths are ever meant to cross, may the meeting be filled with mutual respect, genuine joy, and a connection that grows naturally over time. Until then, walk forward with confidence. Protect your peace. Share your light generously. Because the world has a remarkable way of bringing people together when they are ready, not perfect, but prepared. And perhaps, Somewhere, at this very moment, someone is still smiling because, for one unforgettable night, they dreamed of you. One last whisper, before this journey becomes your own. There is something beautiful about unanswered questions. They remind us that life is still unfolding. That tomorrow is carrying possibilities today cannot fully reveal. Perhaps, years from now, you'll remember listening to these words. Not because they predicted every detail, but because they encouraged you to remain hopeful when your heart needed it most. The person who dreamed about you may never tell you about that night. Or perhaps one day, during an ordinary conversation, they'll smile and say something unexpected. You seem strangely familiar. You may both laugh. You may dismiss it at first. Yet deep inside, something will feel quietly at peace. Not because every mystery has been solved, but because some connections don't need dramatic explanations to be meaningful. They simply grow, one shared moment at a time. Remember this as you continue your own journey. Love is not only about finding the right person. It is also about becoming the kind of person who brings light, patience, and understanding into someone else's life. Every act of kindness you choose today. Every time you forgive instead of holding on to bitterness. Every moment you keep believing that good things are still possible. You are shaping the future version of yourself. And that future version may one day become exactly the person someone has been hoping to meet. So never underestimate the quiet work happening within your heart. Growth is often invisible. Until one day, it changes everything. If this message found you during a season of waiting, let it remind you that waiting does not have to be empty. It can be filled with purpose. With learning. With gratitude. With becoming stronger than you were yesterday. Because when opportunity finally arrives, preparation often looks like destiny. And now, as this message gently comes to a close, take one slow breath. Release every fear that tells you your best days are behind you. Make room for new conversations. New friendships. New beginnings. The next chapter of your story has not been written yet. That's what makes it so beautiful. If these words brought hope to your heart, carry that hope into the days ahead. Share kindness freely. Stay open to meaningful connections. And remember, sometimes the most unforgettable stories begin with something as quiet as a dream, and continue with a single moment that changes two lives forever. The end.